This new Claude computer use agent is absolutely insane. So what we've essentially got here is RooCode. I'll show you how to set it up in a second, and this is using Claude. Now, if we actually zoom out here and you see what I'm doing, we are getting this AI agent to navigate directly inside our browser. It can open up new browsers, it can write emails, pretty much automate anything. You can see, for example, we said here, just compose an email. We said to it, basically go to this email inbox, write an email to juliangoldie.com and invite him to an SEO party, write this manually and don't use the contact section, right? And basically what it's done here is actually written the email. So you can see the email that it's written and it's figured out, okay, we need to send the email to this address. About this is the subject line that we've got right here. And additionally, you can see it's written the whole email step by step along with the RSVP date, right? Figured all of that out itself, then fired it off, and you can see it just did that. It was like, perfect. I've successfully done this, this, and this. And this computer use agent can just basically automate anything you like. It can build anything, automate anything. And it's a very powerful sort of competitor to Manus, right? So if you don't have access to Manus or you're waiting for an invite, then this is a really powerful alternative. And honestly, this can do things in some ways better than Manus. But I'll come on to that later. And yeah, it's super powerful stuff. You can also see here, I said, right, go to WordPress, write a beautifully formatted blog, targeting the keyword SEO trend in Japan. Here's the instructions, give it really in-depth instructions. And then you can see here, it's like, right, here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Goes to WordPress, goes over and does it, starts filling out all the blanks. And if we actually open up this example right here, by the way, SAP inside the AI Profit Boardroom, if you want the step-by-step instructions on how to set this up inside here. But if we go over to the post section and then add a new post, you can see it actually just wrote all this content. So this is the exact content that it wrote. Now, this is more powerful in some ways than NA10 or any other sort of AI agent out there, because number one, it can interact live with your browser. Number two, it can interact with your accounts that you're logged into. And number three, it doesn't require any coding or any technical setup at all. You might pay like an expert $1,000 or $2,000 to build something like this for you, but actually you can just go onto RooCode and be like, boom, set this bad boy up for me, right? Now, if you want to get access to this, what you want to do is you want to go over to Visual Studio Code. So you're going to download this at it's code.visualstudio.com. So download this completely free. Right? You can get it for free. And then what you want to do is you want to go over to extensions, which is on the left over here. Then you're going to type in RooCode. So you can see we've got RooCode installed. Make sure you install that. I've already got it installed. And then it's going to pop up on the left like you can see over here. Right? Now, once you've done that, inside your settings, you need to make sure you're using Anthropic. I will show you a free way to set this up as well. But you can basically set this up with Anthropic. And then if we scroll down here, we can, and this is the most important part, you can connect browser computer use, right? Now with browser computer use, it's really easy to set up the enable browser tool. We'll have the large desktop screenshot quality about 75%, and we've connected this to a remote browser connection. Now there's two ways to set this up, and I've got the different prompts for Windows and for Mac inside the AI Profit Boardroom SAP. But essentially, you want to set up your Chrome on debug mode, and then there are different prompts depending on whether you want to set this up directly with your logged in browser or on a totally new browser with no logins at all, right? Depends how safe you want to play it. Then you can see we've set that up inside Terminal here. It's running nicely. Boom shakalaka. That's how easy it is, right? No messing around in Terminal. You just copy and paste one prompt, you're ready to go, you're off to the races, and you're living the dream, my friends, right? The AI agent dream. And so I've already shown you, how you can, for example, set this up for creating blog posts with WordPress, how to, for example, send emails with this AI agent. I mean, like, the thing about this is pretty much anything that you were paying a virtual assistant for previously, you can now automate using these sort of tools, right? It doesn't require any technical expertise, super easy and fast to do, and it's in some ways better than Manus. But I'll come on to another video that talks about like the pros and the cons and how each one compares to each other. So pretty cool stuff right there. So we've talked about going to Gmail and writing emails. We've talked about going to WordPress and writing the WordPress thing. If you want to see this in action, let me show you an example. So we'll just copy and paste the same prompt for WordPress here. I'm going to X off this, right? Then we're going to go over to new task. Make sure you've got code set up here, and then default on the settings here, right? Another thing to note here is like inside the settings, you can also have like custom prompts, custom examples and that sort of thing. And you can also set up MCP servers, right? So you see how we've got MCP servers, and then for example, we've got Perplexity Ask set up right there, and you can enable it, you can delete it, you can refresh it, whatever you want, right? So you can connect to MCP servers as well. If you don't know what they are, I'll come on to them later. But here you can see exactly how it works step by step. So we're going to now say, go to WordPress, log into this, then write a beautifully formatted blog, right? And it's like, okay, let's figure this out. Here's what we need to do. Here's how we're going to do it. Let's open this up. Starts opening this tab, as you can see. So now it's going over to WordPress, and it should be able to figure out that we need to go to post. So let's see what it does. All right, so it's going to new. And then, and by the way, I'm not, you can see my hands here. I'm not typing anything or clicking anything or anything like that, right? It's figured out, okay, we need to go to create a new post. By the way, whilst you're doing that, you can do other tasks in the background, right? So if you just like, okay, you, my friend, my Claude computer use AI agent, right? You just go off and you figure stuff out, right? And in the background, I'll go and do some other work as well. You could also have multiple windows open with Visual Studio Code and then code multiple tasks. So you basically got like an army of AI agents that are building stuff, doing stuff for you, and all you need to do is give it a very simple prompt, right? Now, if we go back to here, you can see it's already typing in the title, it's figuring stuff out. You can navigate WordPress, you can automate pretty much any task. I mean, I don't know if you remember the days where, when you're running a SEO website, you needed like a lot of people, especially if you had like an SEO agency as well. Now, honestly, I think you're going to get 8-figure, 9-figure, 7-figure companies with just like 2 or 3 people who are very, very good at using AI, right? That's actually why I built the AI Profit Boardroom, to sort of empower entrepreneurs to do stuff like this. But you can see how easy it is. And then if you want to click on the screenshot, you can, so you can see what's happening here. And then if we go back to the AI, you can see it's typing into WordPress here, right? And the thing about this is it can type faster than a human. It writes better than a human. It doesn't get tired. It's working Sunday morgens if you need it to, right? And it just goes off and does everything you need to. So it's super powerful. Like, I mean, if we said, okay, write 5 blocks or 10 blocks, it would just go off and do it. It's very, very autonomous, as you can see. Again, hands in the air, like I'm literally not typing anything or clicking anything. It's just amazing. Like, I am totally redundant right now, right? Like, and let's be honest, if you've got a virtual assistant, why would you still use them to use WordPress for you when you can use this AI agent, and that AI agent is going to be cheaper, it's going to work longer hours, it's not going to get tired, it's not going to sass you, it's not going to ask for a raise, right? It doesn't have a birthday, the AI, so it's not going to take days off for its birthday or get burned out or anything like that. And that's a reality that we're looking at. Now, this is the worst it's ever going to be, and it's already crazy, crazy, crazy powerful stuff, right? So if you see here as well, it's saved the draft, so we go and view the preview over here. Let's see what we got, see how it looks. And that, my friend, is perfectly formatted, right? Beautiful, beautiful stuff. Even got the FAQs, got all the information about us, who we are, etc. And how easy was that? Right? It's all optimized for us as well. Plus, it's customized us. So it's customized to the SEO keyword here, SEO training in Japan. It's like, right, looking for high quality SEO training in Japan, you're in the right place, sunshine. As someone who's built a 7-figure agency from scratch, I know exactly what it takes to dominate search rankings in any market, including Japan, right? And then if we want to speak to Julian Goldie on the AI agent, that's actually embedded into the website. Totally different video. Check out the SOP and the AI Profit Boardroom. But you get the point. Like, this is crazy, crazy powerful. And this is not using Manus, right? This is using Claude. But the difference here is, like, in some ways it's more autonomous than Manus, because Manus is a super powerful tool, really great, but at the same time it's limited to a virtual environment. This is not limited to a virtual environment. It can just go off, do its magic, and it doesn't need to wait for you or, help, ask you any questions. It doesn't have a limit. It doesn't cost anything to actually use RooCode. It just costs you for the API, right? Which is very, very different. But essentially, you've got something that's more autonomous and probably better than any SaaS tool. This is like, you could build as many SaaS tools in here as you wanted to, right? So, crazy powerful stuff. Let's do something else now, right? I'm just going to log into Ahrefs over here. Ahrefs is my go-to SEO tool, right? So, if we go to Visual Studio Code over here, and I'm going to paste that in. So that's the URL. I always like to paste the URL just so that the AI agent knows exactly where to navigate to. And then I'm going to say, do some keyword research via Ahrefs. Find me some low competition keywords for my SEO agency. right? And then what I'm going to say, and this is where we get crazy, is we're going to say, and I've never tested this out before, but I want to see if it works. Okay, once you've found a good keyword, then go to, and we're going to insert the link to write a new post on WordPress and create a blog post on WordPress targeting that keyword. All right. And then basically what you're doing here, if we pull this up, let me show you the magic, right? Is we're saying, right, do the keyword research for SEO here, right? So just figure that out for us, right? And then once you've done that, just write a blog post, mate, all right? And you all of a sudden, you've got a super VA. You can also improve the prompts here. So if you actually highlight this and then you go to the right-hand side, you can click the AI section here. And that should improve the quality of the prompt so that you get better outputs, right? So you can see, for example, it's like conduct comprehensive keyword research using Ahrefs to find blah, blah, blah. After that, navigate here, create a thoroughly optimized WordPress blog. All right, so you can actually use AI as well to create better prompts because we're not just redundant on actually doing admin tasks. We're actually redundant on prompting now as well because the AI can do that better than us too. Crazy stuff. All right, so we're going to hit enter like so. And let's see what it comes back with. Again, I've never tested this one out, right? I've never tested this full prompt right here. So I'm excited to see what happens and if it can actually handle it. The thing that I would say here is like Claude 3.7 Sonnet seems to be a lot smarter when it comes to computer use, right? The old computer use, when you're using Claude 3.5 Sonnet, which was the first edition, that was really slow. It got stuck. It struggled quite a lot. You know, it failed to be iterative. But when you use a prompt like using inside Visual Studio Code and it can do multiple steps like you can see, then you get better outputs, right? You can see here it's figuring out, okay, here's what we need to do, blah, blah, blah. Here's the keywords that we're going to go for. It's finding some low competition keywords right now. I'm excited to see if it can actually go over to WordPress and create a blog about it afterwards. But either way, is it amazing? Absolutely. Is this the worst it's ever going to be? Yeah, like it's only going to get better. And how wild is this? So, you know, if you don't have access to Manus, don't worry. Like, in some ways, this is better. And I'll do a comparison video as well later, but you get the point. Now, I've tested, whilst it's doing that, I'll let it go off and do its thing. But the other thing that I've tested here is actually getting the Claude to use ChatGPT. I actually did that on the live stream yesterday. And what was crazy about that, look at this. It's going over to WordPress now, I think. Yeah, look at that. But what it was crazy about when it started using ChatGPT is that it was very, very challenging towards ChatGPT. It started testing it on its knowledge, whether it was actually as smart as it said it was. It kind of had like a little superiority thing going on. It was really, really interesting. So let's keep going now. You can see how it's navigated to WordPress. It should have picked a keyword. If you want to figure out, okay, what's going on here? What is the AI doing and thinking, etc., then you can go inside the logs here, right? So if we zoom out here, we can go inside the logs and we can see what it's doing. So it's like, right, here's all the steps it's taken. So it's like, right, I need to conduct research. Here's what we're going to do. Here's how we're going to do it. And it's like, right, perfect. I've done that. I found the keyword affordable SEO services. Now, affordable SEO services is a pretty good keyword to go for, right? Keyword difficulty medium, high traffic potential, as you can see right here. Let me pull that up for you. And it's using Ahrefs without me, right? And it's using it in a smarter and better way than 99% of people can, to be honest with you. Then it's found a bunch of other keywords right here, some additional ones. And it said, I also see some related keywords and questions that could be incorporated into the blog post as LSI, latent semantic indexing keywords. So it's not just smart enough to figure out, okay, here's a keyword we're going to go for. It's like, right, not only that, but we're going to optimize this semantically for relevant other keywords that we could potentially rank for too. And then it's like, right, I've identified that as a good keyword. Here's a keyword I'm going to go for. And now that I've figured out that keyword, I'm going to navigate to WordPress, sunshine, right? I'm going to start writing that blog for you. And so let's see if it gets stuck here. Now, it does seem to be a little bit stuck, as you can see, which is, you know, is fine. Like we said, look, you can see it's navigating over to the content section here. It's like, here's what we're going to test, here's how we're going to do it, etc. Now it's starting to write stuff. I'm just going to redirect it over here. will interfere a little bit just because otherwise it's going to get stuck. And on a live stream, we don't want that. All right. So let's see what it does. Is it getting stuck? What's weird about this is that it could actually use WordPress autonomously before, but now it seems to have struggled. So we'll see what's going on. In the meantime, as well, let me open up a new window here, and I'll show you some other cool stuff. So if we go back to RooCode, whilst it's doing its magic over there. The good thing is, as well, it just keeps going. Just keeps going and going and going until it finally figures out, okay? And so if we go up to previous tasks inside RooCode, we'll go to view all, as you can see. You can also set up MCP servers with like a couple of clicks here. So for example, we said set up this MCP server. Here's my API key for Perplexity. And it's like, right, we're going to go off, do that. It navigated GitHub as well. Figured out how to set up GitHub directly. Started running the command. And then actually figured out how to set up an MCP server, right? Now, most humans couldn't figure out how to set up a MCP server. So the fact that it's done it is pretty amazing. It does seem to have got stuck on a loop here, so I'm going to give it a little go. And I just want to be 100% transparent with you, right? Like, I'm going to say cancel here. And let's see what it's going to do here. I think it's because it's the Yoast plugin is actually confusing it right here. So what I'm going to say now is scroll to the top and replace title here with the title. Then write the content, ignore the Yoast SEO plugin section bit. Focus on writing the blog. So let's see if it's smart enough to figure this out. So it's opened up a new tab now. It's clicking on add title. We're going to say scroll up the page, dum-dum, and write the blog at the top. Now it's beginning to write the blog post, as you can see. So it's got browse action. is writing all the content. It seems to write it down in Markdown, but actually when it transfers to WordPress, the good thing is the content itself tends to be nicer formatted. Now, inside the content, I'm just going to give it a better prompt now. So let's go back. And we'll say, right, based on this, targeting the keyword you found from Ahrefs. Here we go. Let's see if it does its magic there. The good thing about this as well is like when you test it out, you're going to get better and better prompts, right? So like the first time you try this sort of stuff, if it's a new test, it might take a little while to figure out or to get the hang of it and that sort of thing. But if it doesn't work, it's okay, because next time you know, okay, this is what to do next time. This is how to improve the prompt next time, etc., right? So let's see what it's doing here. In the meantime, I'm going to X off that. We're going to say, okay, go to bulk.new and build an SEO app. So it's opening up bulk.new here, and it should be able to directly interact with bulk.new. So let's see what it does here. It's opened up bulk.new, and basically what you've got here is Claude's computer use, training up bulk.new on exactly what to do and how to use it, etc. So let's see what we come up with here. So it's clicking on predefined templates. The other thing you can do as well in here is like if you go to API provider, you can switch between them and use Google Gemini. It doesn't have computer use, but you can use the API for free. And if we go to some other previous examples, so let's scroll down here, see what we got. Let's see if we can use ChatGPT. So we'll say go to ChatGPT and have some banter with it, testing its knowledge in SEO. So let's see what's right here. It said, hey ChatGPT, I'm curious about your knowledge of SEO. What do you think are the most significant algorithm updates in the past year, and how have they changed the SEO landscape? Now it's clicking the button to run the prompt. For some reason, it wants to do deep research on that. Now you can see Claude is just interacting directly with ChatGPT, which is pretty crazy. You got AIs talking to AIs, and yeah, super powerful stuff. So thanks so much for watching. If you want to get the full SAP step-by-step tutorials, etc., you can get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. This is a community with 493 members, all designed to help you make more money and save you time with AI. It comes from my best workflows on email and content automation, social media and video automation, AI agent workflows, web automation, and also AI SEO automation, along with my best NA10 templates. Now, if you go to the SAP section over here, you will get my step-by-step tutorials on exactly how to set this all up inside your browser, inside RooCode and Claude computer use. Very, very simple and easy to set up, which is great. And additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that link in the comments and description. We'll show you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. And on this free SEO domination plan, you'll get a custom tailored link building plan so you can generate more lead sales and profits from your website, and ask any questions you have about getting more traffic to your site based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Let's see what questions we got here. The man, the myth, the legend. This is all golden advice. Appreciate you, Stephen. Shout out to the legend himself. Miguel says, have you tried to get this agent to do a course or a challenge? Yeah, so I mean, like, for example, yesterday I got it to build out an app, an SEO app, and it did it really quickly and easily. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Setting up MCP servers as well, which is something that I personally struggled with. Like, it's quite technical, but the AI can set it up pretty quickly and easily. Liam says, great idea. I love the quote Benjamin Graham had to Warren Buffett when he asked that question. Six says, hey guys, in the chat, I'm a French student looking for an unpaid internship. Someone interested. There you go. Help out, Sick. Good morning from Bangkok. I don't think it's live, or it seems not to check the comments. Checking the comments for you right now, so check. And OldTyB says, did anyone try to build games in iOS using it? I've not built games in iOS, but I have built games using this process. And if you're struggling to get Manus approval, like, this is a good alternative. So you can just use something like this instead, right? So let's keep it moving now. And we're going to open up Manus. RooCode versus Manus. I'm going to show you today a free Manus AI agent alternative. So if you don't have access to Manus and you want something that's really quick and easy to set up, that's actually in many ways more powerful than Manus, then make sure you keep watching. So essentially in Manus is super powerful, but it's also quite buggy. So you can see here, for example, this conversation is loading, but it's actually from 3 days ago. And on top of that, you actually get a limited number of requests inside Manus. I think from what I've seen, it's like maybe 3 task requests per day. Additionally, when you're using this, it cannot write content locally on your laptop unless you download it. And also, it gets kind of stuck. And I'll show you what I mean. So for example, sometimes you reach the maximum daily usage limit, which is a bit frustrating. And also, you can see here, for example, sometimes you get stuck directly in the chat and it's like, I can't deploy this, right? I can't do anything more for you. You've reached the maximum context limit. So we're going to be testing this side by side versus RooCode. And RooCode is kind of like Manus, very similar to Manus. I mean, they both use Claude, right? They both use Claude 3.7 Sonnet. But inside RooCode, you can actually have this use your browser directly, and it can use your logins. It can write code and build and automate things locally. Plus, it can like log into say ChatGPT and start conversating with it directly. It can do all sorts of crazy stuff, right? And you can also use this for free. So if you want to use this for free, you can switch over to Google Gemini, get a free API key from aistudio.google.com, and then plug that in and start using this all for free, right? The other difference is here, the inside Manus, you're not going to be running MCP servers connected to Perplexity or whatever you want, whereas inside RooCode, you actually can, right? So let me show you an example what this means in practice. So if we go to a previous example right here, what I actually did was I asked RooCode with Claude's AI agent to conduct comprehensive keyword research using Ahrefs to identify low competition keywords, blah, 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 right? And it just went off and did it. It found some low competition keywords relevant to my SEO agency. You got the keyword difficulty over here, the traffic potential, etc. Super easy and powerful to set up, right? And it's logged into my account, so it can just use the account. It can get the data from there. Now, if you do the same thing inside Manus, right, and this is one of the downfalls of it. So if we go inside Manus here and we'll say, right, new task, go and do this, right? And we'll say, go off and do that. Because it doesn't have the login details, it's not going to be able to do it for you, right? If this is connected to the internet, obviously you don't want to give your login details directly to the SaaS software. If it was running locally, it's very different. But if it's just like, if it's inside a software, it's not going to be able to like log in directly. Now you could take control and intervene manually, but that kind of defeats the object of the whole thing, right? It's like you want something really autonomous. You want something that can just go off and do things for you, right? Whereas if we go into RooCode, it can actually just go off and do its magic directly for you, right? So we'll try again now. I'll show you this in real time. So if we say, do this, all right? RooCode is going to go off and do this. And the other thing here, we'll wait for that to load, right? So you can see it's like opening up the tab here and it's navigating, etc. It's going to be a lot faster, right? So you see here how Manus is like, I've completed the current task and I'm ready for any revisions or questions, but it hasn't done what we've asked it to do, right? Which is do this, go and do the keyword research. Whereas, for example, with RooCode, because it can log into Ahrefs, and because it's directly inside the browser, it can just go off and start searching stuff directly without you having to intervene, right? So you can see here how it's doing the keyword research directly, really simple and easy to use. And it's not playing games here, right? It's actually doing the task you want it to do. So if you actually compare these side by side, Manus has failed this task. It only managed to get to the login dashboard and then it convinced itself like it actually did the work, but it didn't, right? Whereas, for example, with RooCode, it actually went off and did its magic directly. And so that's one of the biggest differences here. Is like, in some ways, RooCode's computer use agent is more autonomous than using Manus. The other thing here as well is like, I think I heard something crazy. I don't know if this is true, but I heard something crazy like Manus has a waiting list of 2 million people, which is pretty wild, right? Whereas, for example, and so you're going to be waiting a long time if you try and get access to Manus. I mean, some people have got early access, but they've got very limited numbers of usages. Whereas, for example, and by the way, I think this code is finished. Yeah, you can see it's finishing off right now. So Manus you can only use, I think, about 3 to 5 times per day. Whereas with RooCode and this AI agent, you can use this as much as you want. Because all you've done is you've connected your API key. I've connected Anthropic because it's got computer use, and obviously that's the best API to use if you want to have something really autonomous. And you can also see how it's navigating and using the web without me right here. This is way easier and faster than using Manus, right? Whereas Manus, I'm going to be limited. I can't build an army of AI agents. I can only have like 1 or 2 running per day. And this is one of the reasons that I've actually gradually stopped using Manus. Like, it is amazing. Don't get me wrong. It's built some amazing stuff. But at the same time, it's not as autonomous and it is limited versus RooCode, right? Whereas RooCode is all logged in right here. So there's some big advantages right here. We've talked about, no daily limits. We've talked about, no invitation code required. You can just set up RooCode today if you want to. You can also have it running in the background whilst you do other stuff. So for example, we can have this tab open, and then if we go over to the AI Profit Boardroom and do stuff there, like no issues, right? That AI agent is just going to be doing its magic for us. The other thing here as well is like, it's really simple and easy to use. So if you go to the SOPs inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments and description, and then you go to the RooCode and computer use section right here, there's a full SOP on like exactly how to set this up. So if you want to set this stuff up and learn exactly how I set it up, then you can get that and the instructions here for both Windows and Mac. And then you can see it's now, it's just gathering some keywords and doing its magic. All right. So you can see the power of this, how different it is. The other thing here as well is like, if we X off that, we can actually run MCP servers directly, right? So Manus isn't able to do this. Let me show you an example of what I mean, right? So if we go to view all, and you'll see an example of me setting up a Perplexity MCP server over here, right? And all I did was say, set up this MCP server, use this API key, boom shakalaka. It went off and it set up. What does that mean? It means it can use Perplexity independently without us, right? And it pulls in all the data, all the info right here. It can send messages, it can gather data, it can do deep research, etc. Right? Really easy. And it uses Perplexity AS to do that, right? And then if we go to our MCP servers inside RooCode, we can set up multiple ones. So we've got Perplexity AS right there, but we could add many other MCPs if we want. We just need the GitHub link and the API key if it's required, right? That's how easy it is to set up, right? Whereas if you go to Manus and you're like, right, okay, set up the MCP server for Perplexity, right? We'll ask it to do its magic right there. It's not going to be able to do that, right? And look at this, right? So I've reached the maximum daily limit already. So as much as I love Manus and like, I honestly like really appreciate getting early access to it and everything like that, but it's just like, which one is better here? Which one is more useful right here? Of course, it's RooCode, because RooCode isn't going to run out of requests, especially on a live stream on YouTube, whereas Manus does struggle with that. It can only do certain things. It's very limited in terms of the way you can use it and how many times you can use it, right? And the thing here is like, if you really want to be productive, if you want to use the full power of AI agents and have like one agent go off and do keyword research for you, maybe one agent go off and write a blog post for you, one agent's going to start using Perplexity, etc., then, inside RooCode, you can do that. That's no problem. You can just have multiple windows open, like you can see right here, right? We've got multiple windows open. Whereas, for example, inside Manus, it seems like we can maybe use this 2 times a day. It seems like. I mean, let's have a look. How many times have I used this today? I've used it once. Yeah, just 1 time. So I just used Manus once today, and then I tried to use it again, and we hit the daily usage limit during the beta testing period. So, Manus I can use once today, whereas RooCode I can use unlimited time. So there's so many different benefits to this. Like if you're not using RooCode and you want to get access to something like Manus, you'd be crazy not to set this up. Like it's so powerful and it's so useful. And we've really only like looked at the surface level of this, right? So here's another one. We can actually code locally. So for example, if we take this prompt that I've actually used inside Manus before, we're going to open up a new tab here. We're going to go inside here and we're going to say, build a website, not an app, just HTML. All right. And then we're going to do all of this, blah, blah, blah. And we can actually code locally using RooCode, right? So you can see here how it's figured out, okay, here's what you need, here's what you want to do, etc. It's going to start figuring out, okay, here's a directory that we're going to build it in. It can run commands locally on our laptop. There's no usage limit. We can just build whatever we want locally using RooCode. Right? So we'll run through the commands here and I'll show you exactly how easy this is to set up. And you can see now it's coding locally for that project, right? Which is something, number one, you can't do that in Manus. And number two, if you do it in Manus, you can only do it like once a day, right? So this is a really viable alternative that no one really talks about or knows about. So you can see here how it's building this all out, step by step. We'll come back to that in a minute. But it's very, very autonomous. And literally the only prompting that we did here was this one right here. Super simple. Now, Manus can build out really cool stuff. If you haven't seen this already, I've actually added inside the AI Profit Boardroom some of the best stuff that I've built out with this. So let's go up here, go to build anything section. You can check out some of the stuff that I built with Manus, and some of it is super impressive, right? So let me open up some of these examples whilst RooCode is building out its magic. So you can see, for example, we built out a fantasy game in Three.js right here, right? We've also got, for example, an AI SEO content writer, which is pretty nice, to be fair. It's not the best design in the world, but you can see we built this out with Manus, and it's hosted on a subdomain. I mean, that is one thing that you can't do inside RooCode. You can't set up a Manus subdomain, right? Whereas, for example, in Manus, you can host and build anything you want inside a subdomain directly on there. This is another tool that we built out. We built out a full website using Manus, so you can build some absolutely amazing stuff. But really, if you compare them side by side, it's like RooCode is winning because it's more autonomous. It can code locally. It gives you more requests per day. You don't have to wait for an invite code. And you can see it just runs in the background whilst we do everything else. So it's something to create all of that out right now. We can also build multiple projects at a time if we want to. If you want to know, okay, how much is this costing us? So I'm using Claude 3.7 Sonnet, obviously, which is not that cheap, right? So for example, if you go to the API cost section over here, you can see how much this is costing us to do this stuff. The thing about this is probably when Manus is out of beta and it's ready for everyone to use, it is going to cost, I don't know how much it's going to cost, but I'm sure they could charge hundreds, if not thousands per year for that. And also inside RooCode, if you go to the settings and then you select Gemini as your API key for building stuff out, then that's completely free, right? And then it really just comes down to which API you use. For installing RooCode and Visual Studio Code itself, that is completely free. You don't need to pay for that, all right? Some people might be asking about the security of these sort of tools. I don't honestly know. I mean, I think if you want to play it safe, you would host this in a virtual environment, right? So if you want to be really safe, for example, like getting RooCode to use your browser and everything else, just set up a totally different browser. Maybe you run it in Chromium instead, which is kind of like remote and, it's a bit safer, etc. But we've got the AI SEO content writer tool here. I mean, that's built out and ready to go. And it's looking pretty good. All right, so this is the tool that we built out. We'll compare it versus Manus side by side. So let me pull this up. Where we've got the ASEO tool from Manus over here. And we'll compare them side by side versus Claude. Let's pull this up. All right. Biggest difference here is like, this is hosted locally and this is hosted with Manus. All right. So if we compare them side by side, let's pull them up right here. I actually really like the design from this, so it looks a lot cleaner. Here we go. And also this one, I remember with Manus, it took me about 1 hour to build this out, whereas this took me what, like 5-10 minutes maximum, because we just did it live with that prompt, right? So we've completed the ASEO content writer website. You've got the one from Manus here, and you've got the one from RooCode here. Which one do you prefer the UI of? Honestly, for me, I'm going to go with this one, right? Also, this is hosted locally, so we can just edit the files whenever we need it. And this one is hosted on Manus, which means that we get less freedom over building it and editing it and everything else. Also, if we scroll down here, you've got like nice little icons, for example, for OpenAI, so it looks a bit nicer. You can insert the API key. You can select between the different options here. We can put in the target keyword, content outline, and we are ready to go on that. Additionally, it's got links to my funnels. And if you compare like this section, for example, Julian Goldie's SEO services section, this section right here looks a lot nicer than this section over here, right? So the UI is actually much nicer using this process with RooCode instead of Manus. And that's what I mean, like Manus is good, but I would say at this point, RooCode might be better. And also this is hosted locally. So crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Now, some people are asking, okay, like, what do you need to run RooCode locally? So for RooCode, running it locally, I'm using a MacBook Pro M3. I don't know what you need to set up. I'm not that technical. But for me, MacBook Pro M3, it's not even the latest one, and it's working fine, right? It's not slow at all. It's doing its magic really quickly. It's set this up super quickly, and you're getting better outputs than Manus using exactly the same prompt. The prompt that we use to build this is exactly the prompt that we use to build this, but the difference is this is a nice UI and it looks much nicer. All right, so that's the difference right here. Let's check how many words are on the page here as well. So if you count the words up, is it similar word count? Well, it's not telling me, so it's not very useful, but I think the content on this page seems to be a bit longer. The only thing that I want to test here is like, does this actually work? So let's test this out now. Bear in mind, like, you know, something like Jasper, I think they raised millions of dollars to build something like this. Whereas you can just build out with RooCode autonomously and you just give it one prompt and boom, you're ready to go, right? And if you want the prompt for this, just check out the AI Profit Boardroom with the prompt for building stuff like this. So what I'm going to do in the background is I'm going to grab a OpenAI key. I've plugged it in right here. We're going to put the keyword SEO trend in Japan, for example. Then we'll hit generate content. I don't know if this is going to work, but we'll see if it does or not. All right. And it seems to have done it. Wow, that was fast. How fast was that? We even got a nice little SEO score. So actually, wow, that's crazy. It actually went off and did it. That is crazy. Let's try the same thing inside Manus. So this is the API. I'm going to plug my API key into the Manus tool over here. We'll do exactly the same keyword. It's SEO trend in Japan. Hit generate SEO content. I don't want to insert a content outline, but I'll just put like SEO trend in Japan and use your imagination. All right. And look at that. Manus doesn't work. Are you kidding me? So the tool that we built with RooCode, using exactly the same prompt, it looks nicer and it's actually working first time round. The tool that we built with Manus, it doesn't work. The API key is broken. It's giving us an error. And because we've run out of usage limits on Manus, we can't go back and fix it, right? Whereas if we want to improve this and we want to improve the outputs of this, then all we need to do is go over to RooCode over here and just ask it to do that, right? Super simple and easy. So you can see that actually in many, many ways, RooCode is more autonomous. It builds better stuff. It has many other advantages that Manus doesn't have. And it's not going to cost you anything apart from the API credits, right? Now, also, if you want to know, okay, how much does that cost? You can see the cost right here. And again, you just need to make sure when you're doing all of this that you set up the computer use properly, right? I've got all the instructions in the SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom. But the thing to note here is like you have to be careful because you want to make sure that you've got the local host running and a debugged version of Chrome, right, to get this connected and using the browser. So that's just one example of this. let's pull up another example here. So I'm going to say now, over in a new chat, I'm going to say, create a presentation about how autonomous AI agents could change the world. All right. Use the Perplexity MCP server to do the research, then turn that into a beautiful landing page that's modern, interesting, and has a sleek design. All right, so basically what it's going to do is create a presentation. It's going to research using Perplexity's MCP server, and then it's going to turn that into a beautiful modern landing page. All right, let's see what it does now. So it's figuring out, okay, here's exactly what we need to do. Here's how we're going to do it, etc. Let's see if it can figure out the MCP server. It's running that query. We have to approve it, of course. It's doing its magic. And it's running the terminal commands. Now it's building out the HTML page, which you can see right here. Now, if you want to see an example of what this looked like with, let me pull this up. It's a exit off that, exit off that. If you want to see an example of what this looked like with Manus, here's an example, right? So it's pretty basic. It did the job. It built out some nice charts and stuff like that, but it's super, super basic. It also wasn't that personalized, right? And it felt really sort of like a lot of AI fluff in there. For example, like in the rapidly evolving landscape, like ChatGPT has been saying that since October 2023, right? So you get the point. So we're gonna wait for that to load. It's starting to build it out here. Let's see what it does. Then it's building out the HTML. Now it's creating the CSS, like you can see. So it's creating the colors and figuring all that out as well. The other thing I like about Claude is like it's really good for front-end design. So it looks pretty nice. And once that's loading, I did notice the MCP server before was not working. But when I set it up in here, it worked perfectly, right? So you can see it actually ran and completed the Perplexity MCP server. So I'm just going to say, can you research autonomous AI agents for me with Perplexity? We'll see if that works. And if you're wondering, okay, like where do you get the API key for Claude? So let's see if that works. Hopefully it does. If you're wondering about the API key for Claude, yeah, just go to console.anthropic.com, then grab the API key from there. You can just grab it and then plug it into your settings with computer use, right? So that has come back to us and worked perfectly. So it's using the Perplexity MCP server. It's done the research right here. You can see the response from Perplexity. And then we'll go back to the file and you can see it's now coding out the JS, right? So it did the HTML, coded the CSS. By the way, I'm not a coder at all. Like I cannot code at all. I've never learned how to code. I think I did try and learn for like 2 weeks and totally gave up. But that's okay because AI can do it for me. It could do it better than most developers. And there we have the website ready to go. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful, right? Now if you compare the design of this versus this, the difference is crazy, right? Look at that. Like how much better does that UI look versus, and this is a whole presentation page, peeps, all right? But how much better does that look versus the Manus presentation? Like it's wild. Exactly the same prompt, exactly the same process, exactly the same API. They're both using Claude, but you get a much better output from RooCode. So that is what I'm talking about, peeps. The world doesn't know yet. I actually only learned this through income stream servers. Like he did an awesome video. I already credited him in my video yesterday, but you get the point. Like this is super powerful stuff and nobody is talking about it, but it's probably the best AI agent that I've seen on the web right now. So you can see it's run the API requests, it's used the MCP servers as well. Loads of good benefits, and this is free, right? RooCode is free. VisualStudioCode.com is free. If you want to use the API for free, then you would just use Google, not Anthropic. And you can do things better than Manus. Plus, it's more independent, it's more autonomous. Okay? So, pretty cool stuff right there. And if you want to get the full recipe on setting that up, plus all of my workflows for AI agents, feel free to get that inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So inside the AI Profit Boardroom, you see all our best automations for email, social media, AI agents, web automation, SEO automation, NA10 templates, a crash course in saving hundreds of hours of AI, plus SOPs, right? Now, the AI Profit Boardroom also comes with weekly Q&As with us, so you can jump on the weekly Q&A, so like you see right here if you have any questions. And if you're struggling in the meantime, you can post inside the community and ask any questions you have, right? So you can see here, for example, people ask questions and we just answer them right here. You can see how much help this person got. 13 different people jumped in to help them when they asked a question inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So feel free to get that link in the comments and the description. And this also comes with the SOP for setting up RooCode directly, which you can see right here. Because you have to set up the debug inside Chrome and it's a bit technical, blah, blah, blah. But if you have the right prompts, which I show inside the SOP, then it's just like a case of copying and pasting. And if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session, feel free to get that. Link in the comments and description. We'll show you how to take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits a month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot. On this free link building acceleration session, you'll get a free SEO domination plan, so you get a custom tailored plan so you can generate more leads and sales and profits from your website, and you'll get all your questions answered one-to-one on a free link building acceleration session. Plus, you'll learn how to 10x SEO traffic so you get more leads, sales, and customers to your website from Google. Feel free to get that link in the comments and the description. Let's see what questions we got here. Casper says, thanks for all the content. You're a top source for AI related info. Happy to help. I mean, the whole thing is like, we want to raise each other up as a community, right? Like if we all share this information between us, then we're only going to improve together, right? As a community, which is what the game's all about. That's why I set up the AI Profit Boardroom, because it's like, you know, you're gathering a tribe of people who are all just focused on growing their business, making more money and scaling with AI and leading the pack in terms of, you know, everything that's going on in the world. API key straight from Sonnet, yep, so it's straight from Anthropic. I think I answered all of the questions right here. Feel free to ask any questions. Lucia says, my friend is a full stack developer. Grok is better than Anthropic at coding. So the problem with that, right, is that right now Grok 3 is not available for everyone on API, right? So for example, if you want to use Grok inside RooCode, Grok 3, you can't, right? So that's the biggest issue there. It's like, it might be the best, might potentially be the best. I mean, when I've tested it, it's not, but if you can't use it inside RooCode and these other tools, then what's the point? So that's one of the biggest issues there. Do you think M1 is capable of handling open source AI? It depends which one you use. The main thing is, like, you know, the less power you have, the more you want to run like smaller models, right? So for example, if you're struggling then just use like a really small model on your AI. But also, like, if you're using the API instead of running it locally, right? So there's two different things there. Like, if you wanted to use DeepSeek R1, like the full model on an M1, it's not going to work. It's just going to be too slow, even on an M3 or M4. But for example, if you're running the API key through RooCode and that's just building stuff out for you, that's probably going to be a lot faster, right? Because it's using the API key, it's not using the local AI. Do you do prompt coaching and batching save on credits using RooCode? So if you just want like my prompts and the most efficient workflows for using AI, then just join the AI Profit Boardroom. All the stuff is in there. So link in the comments description. Price is going up at the end of the month, sir. So make sure you sign up now because we only got, what, 7 days left before the price rise. Don't want you to miss out there. So today I'm going to show you a new one-click AI agent that is just absolutely wild. It can do almost anything. And you know, if you're waiting for an invite code to Manus, or if you're reaching the daily usage limits and you want a solution in the meantime, this is probably the best AI agent I've ever seen. I'll show you how to build anything, automate anything. You can use your browser, you can log into accounts. I've even tested it for like emails and sending emails. It's absolutely wild. So let me show you exactly what I'm talking about and how this works. So, and by the way, you don't need an invite code for this. You don't need to pay for the actual software, only the API costs. It's completely free, and if you want to use it completely free with APIs, then you just grab a free API key from Google, and it's all available inside Visual Studio Code. So if you make sure you download Visual Studio Code, which is available at code.visualstudio.com, and then you go to RooCode, right? So you're just going to make sure you go to extensions and then type in RooCode like so. What you've got here is essentially something so powerful. It's basically the new Manus, right? It's the most autonomous AI agent I've ever seen, right? So if you go over to RooCode over here, you can see that, for example, it can set up like MCP servers, so it's linked directly to Perplexity and started running searches for us directly right here. But not only that, like that's just a little minuscule thing compared to everything else it could do, right? And this is all done with one single click. So for example here, you can see we said go to Gmail and write an email to me at juliangawler.com, invited him to an SEO party, write this manually, don't use the contact section, right? And it just went off and actually did its magic. So if we scroll up and we go here, you can see it actually drafted the email inside my browser. So it has browser use, and the reason that it has browser use is because it's connected to Anthropic. So I've plugged in my API key from Anthropic. Just go to console.anthropic.com, then select your model as Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Once you've done that, then you're going to run your Chrome in debug mode. If you don't know how to do that, just get the SOP inside the AI Profit Boardroom with the copy and pastable prompts. And from here, just enable the browser tool, set up your local host, test the connection, like you can see right here, and then boom, you're done. That's how easy it is, right? And then you can see here, it just wrote an email directly for us. Really simple and easy. Really simple and easy stuff. And if we scroll down here as well, you can see that I said go to WordPress and write a beautifully formatted blog, targeting the keyword, blah, 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 and it can just go off and do that. Let me show you an example of that in action. So if we type in that prompt over here, it's going to run the API request. And by the way, all of this stuff, send emails, writing blog posts, etc., has only cost me 65 cents. And again, if you want to use it for free, just plug in your Google API key. So It's going to open up a new browser here. Then it's going to start going to post.new. And from here, it can start writing the blog post, right? So the cool thing about this is you can basically automate any task with AI now, because it can write blog posts, it can interact with your tools, it can figure out how to use stuff, it can write emails for you. Like, it's incredibly easy. And then if we go back to that blog post it wrote, here's an example. So it's like, right, I'll launch a new browser, then I'll navigate to the URL, then I'm going to write this. The blog post has been published, as you can see. So I actually published the blog on my website. And we've gone from like AI tools that can actually, you know, write content to AI tools that can actually navigate to your website and publish content, like you can see right here. So if we actually go to juliangoldie.com and then go to the blog section, that is the blog that it published today, right? And you see it's all nicely formatted. It's actually pretty nicely written compared to most human writers, and it did all its magic pretty much automatically. Really simple and powerful to do. Here's another example. So we said like create a presentation. If we resume that, so we basically asked it to create a website about this, blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to say open this up for me, right? And it basically coded a website locally, like you can see right here, with one single prompt, and then launched it inside my browser. So you can see it's opening up the landing page for us right here. We'll wait for that to load. And that is our website, my friends. Look at that. Ready to go. And you can see it like just scrolling through the website right there. All right, so it can build stuff, it can automate stuff, it can even go to Ahrefs and start doing keyword research. Let me show you an example of that in action. So if we go over here, I said, I need to conduct comprehensive keyword research, blah, blah, blah. Use a browser to do that. It figured everything out. It found a bunch of keywords. And it just started using this tool autonomously. All right. So you can see the API request. And this is faster and smarter than the actual VA. So it found us a bunch of keywords right here that were pretty low competition, like Boys SEO Agency, Thai SEO Services, Bangkok SEO Company, Best SEO Company in Poon, SEO Company Forum, etc. Like some really interesting keywords that I would have never found. And it did it using Ahrefs directly. And you can see the task is completed there. So really powerful stuff. You can basically automate whatever you want using this process. Let me pull up an example. So here's an example of Ahrefs being used. Now, if you want to do this, let me put in an example prompt if you want to test this out yourself. So plug this in here, and we'll say research Julian Goldie, then build and deploy the best possible website you can about me. It's finding the information, as you can see. So it said, right, great, I found some information about Julian Goldie. Now let's start building out the website. Let's see what it does next. It's trying to use the Perplexity MCP server as well to do that. And there you can see it started to do its magic right here. So it's started to use Perplexity. It's got all the information about me. And because this is linked to MCP servers, it can do that research, connect to the internet, and then use that to start building out the website, right? So if we run this command, now it's going to start building out the JS, the CSS, the images, etc. And it's like, right, I'll create the HTML for the website, right? So you can see here, like it can use the internet, it can use a browser, it can start creating HTML. We can code locally, but it can also code via MCP servers. And again, you don't need to have any coding skills to be able to use this stuff. You just get the AI to do it for you. Like that is literally the future, but it's so autonomous, and it doesn't require, an invitation code from Manus. It doesn't require paying for any software. It doesn't require a daily usage limit. Like the freedom that you have with this is far bigger and better than anything else I've seen out there. You can also open up multiple windows. So if we open up a new window, let's close that. But if we go back to Visual Studio Code over here, open up a new window, we can now start running more tasks in the background whilst the AI agent is coding, right? So it's coding over here, but then inside this window, we can start using its magic. So let's run another prompt. And for this one, just going to do something basic, right? So for example, inside here, I'm going to say, Google the latest AI headlines today and build a website around that. All right. Actually, we need to use RooCode, that was client. Don't use client, use RooCode. All right. So it's going to start open up the browser. There you go. It's searching the latest AI news today inside Google. It's actually used the Google AI overviews to figure that out. It's grabbing that information, searching for it, having a look through Google, seeing what's going on. And then using that to research, right? So you can see the screenshot here. You can see how it's navigating the page over here. And now it's like, right, I've gathered several AI headlines, now close the browser and build a website to showcase these news stories. And so it does all the research for you, and then it just goes off and builds a website for you. It's like, right, you want a website, mate? Well, you don't need to pay a design agency $10,000 to do that. I'll just go off and do it for you. We'll hit save on that, and then we should be able to preview it. Now, also the cool thing is, because we're using Claude, Claude is the best for coding, for front end, everything else. This website is nearly finished. So this is the one about Julian Goldie, which it built using the MCP servers from Perplexity. So, I mean, the main thing here is like you become extremely powerful using AI agents, and you've got an army of agents, right? So at the same time, look at this, right? We've got one AI agent coding a website about me, and then we've got another AI agent at the same time doing research and coding a website about the latest AI news headlines. And so it's absolutely insane what you can do and how you can do it. I'm pretty sure if you said like go to Twitter and post a tweet about what's happening in the world, it could just go off and do that. And that is a website. Look at that, boom, ready to go. It's found the information. It's even figured out, okay, this was from 15 hours ago. This is the source, etc. It's added some nice icons. I mean, we could improve the design of the website if we want. The main thing here is like to go from idea to concept. Now the feedback loop is like minutes, not days or weeks or months like it would normally be of a website. Like if you wanted to build an e-commerce site, or you wanted to build a SaaS store, or you want to build an app, or you just want it to go off and send some emails for you, do some outreach for you. Well, it can do all of that. And it's very, very good at what it does, right? And again, like to do all of this, we only spent 25 cents. It's insane. And again, you can use Google AI Studio instead if you prefer that. And then with that, instead, you've got the option to use it for free, right? Because you can go into aistudio.com, google.com and grab a free API key there. So you can see how powerful this is. It genuinely is a one-click AI agent. It's doing all the work for me. I mean, if we had to list out like, okay, what do I need a person for? Well, let's open up a new document here, right? you know, if we pull this up and we ask ourselves, okay, well, website developers, we've replaced with AI. Human writers, replaced with AI, right? Content writers, replaced with AI. The AI can now go onto Twitter and it can send posts for us as well. So, you know, Twitter, social media posts, the AI can do as well. And not just like writing them, but actually going on and uploading them, right? So for example, if we open up a new post here, and let me just double check this. I want to make sure, if we go to Twitter, I'm just going to switch to another account. So we switch it to this account instead. All right. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to say to RooCode, and by the way, that's the website ready to go. It's already iterated on it and improved the design. We'll X off that. We'll start a new task and we'll say, go to Twitter and post a tweet. All right. And then inside here as well, we'll say, write a short, inspiring quote about AI and post a tweet, no hashtags. Okay. Let's see if it can do that. I don't know if Claude is going to restrict it for going to Twitter and posting content, but let's see if it can. So it's going to Twitter now. All right. So this is on my AI SEO Mastery account, which is like a totally separate account. I don't want to do it on my main live one. Let's see if it can do its magic. And it says it cannot because it's restricted, right? So it says, according to my guidelines, I'm not permitted to generate content. But what I'm going to say here is like, just draft it. Don't post it. See if that will work. But it seems like Claude has really restricted that. I think because it probably goes against the guidelines. So it gives us the actual prompt and the content, but it won't write it. Can you draft that tweet inside Twitter for me? Let's see if it will do that. So it's going over to Twitter again. I don't know if it's going to do that, you know. I think it might be quite restricted, but we'll see what it does. Is he going to figure that out? It's writing. There we go. I'm just going to hit post for it. And boom shakalaka, it's done the tweet. AI doesn't replace human creativity, it amplifies it. Together, we're exploring new frontiers of possibility that neither could reach alone. All right, so it can actually write tweets for us as well. So that's on the list. So if we look at, okay, what have we replaced? You know, and I think the difference right now is not the difference here is like not the AI agents are restricted in terms of what they can do. The only restriction that we have is that most humans don't understand how powerful this is, right? Because most people don't realize it can replace website developers, can replace content writers and human writers. Not like tomorrow or next month or in 1 year's time, like right now, right? SaaS tools it can build. So, for example, outreach, emails, any type of virtual assistant admin tasks, keyword research, building out websites, you know, SEO tasks in general is basically replaced, all right? And so, like, the list is just getting longer and longer, and this is all possible with RooCode. I don't think most of this stuff is possible with anything else. You know, Manus can't do that because it's got limits. You know, an AI tool could write content, but it's not going to be able to do the rest of this. But with RooCode, we've replaced all of this stuff, plus much more. I've not even touched the surface, but you get the idea. Like, this is all the crazy stuff that you can do with it. So if you want to get the SOP for this, it's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Feel free to get that. If you just go to Classroom, then scroll down to SOPs, you'll find the SOP for setting all of this stuff up with RooCode directly inside here. And again, you might be saying, okay, this is great, but is it free? It's free if you use aistudio.google.com, grab the API key, plug that into your settings. All right, is it good? Is it as good as Manus? I would say a lot of the outputs are actually better. And also, you don't have to wait for an invite code. It can code locally. You can log in to your Twitter account or whatever you want it to do. And also, you can interact with your browser. And on top of that, there's no usage limits, right? So it's not in a virtual environment or anything like that. Plus, it costs pennies to do, right? Literally pennies to do that, right? So to do all these steps right here only cost us, what, $0.11, right? Nothing. Not much at all, especially if you compare that to the price of, say, getting a virtual assistant to do all this for you, right? And again, RooCode, it doesn't take days off. It doesn't take Sundays off, mate. Just gets on with the job and does its magic. So that's the difference right here. Now, if you want to get all of this, it's inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. Just go to the RooCode section here to get the instructions. It also comes with, you know, the instructions on how to set up MCP agents, NA10 MCP agents. It's got a 3-hour course on DeepSeek and a 3-hour course on Manus. It gets updated every single month. It comes with weekly Q&A calls with us, so you can jump on the Q&As and ask us any questions. And inside the community as well, you can dive into the community, ask any questions you have, and we're all trying to help you, right? So you can see this question right here. We've all helped everyone inside the community. People share all the cool stuff they've done as well, which is pretty crazy. And it's just a community of people, entrepreneurs, dedicated to making more money and saving hundreds of hours with AI. So thanks so much for watching, and appreciate you watching. If you want to get that, link in the comments description. Additionally, if you want to get a free one-to-one SEO strategy session that shows you how we take websites from 0 to 145,000 visits this month and generate hundreds of thousands of dollars in sales on autopilot, feel free to get that. Link in the comments description. You get a custom tailored game plan to your website to generate more leads, sales, and profits from SEO. You'll get your questions answered one-to-one. You'll learn the best link building strategy for your website, plus how to 10x SEO traffic based on what's working for us and our happy clients, like you can see right here. Feel free to get that link in the comments description. Appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next one, my friends. Now, any questions before we go? Post them in the chat. Akram says, that's where the dedication comes. Just love how committed this lad is. Appreciate it, Akram. That's super kind. Nicholas says, prolific. And Ruben says, the Goldie's out. I appreciate you guys, man. This is unusual to see such positivity, but I love it. I absolutely love it. We've got a good community of people here. Miguel says, I stay updated on AI news by watching Goldie SEO videos. Appreciate you. And Six says, how do you keep yourself updated on all these AI news? The way that I just learn is I've got a really good network of people, right? So your network is your net worth, essentially. And so inside the AI Profit Boardroom, like, I'm connected to all the most serious people in AI right now, right? Like, by creating a community like this, it filters out all the serious people about AI who are really dedicated. And so that's what the game comes from, you know? Harris says, dang, just woke up. Good to catch you live. More power to you. Appreciate you. What else we got here? All right, I'm going to have to delete all my API keys, actually. Let me just do that quickly now, whilst I remember. Otherwise, I'll sign off and forget about it. So we'll go to, if you want to learn how to delete your API key from Perplexity, we'll just go to API key inside the settings here. One thing I'd be really careful of as well is, like, if you're using all these different AI tools, just make sure you cancel these subscriptions, get rid of all that stuff, you know. You don't want to pay for anything that you shouldn't be using or don't need to pay for. That's the blog that RooCode actually created before. And I think we're good to go here. Yeah, Lucy says about Grok 3. The only way that you can code with Grok 3 inside here is if you go to Human Relay. So select Human Relay, and then you can copy and paste the instructions from RooCode directly into Grok 3. But honestly, like, you're going to get better outputs and save time with Anthropic? Absolutely. Anthropic is leading the world right now in terms of AI. Right? It's leading the world. It's an absolute beast. And Casper says, thanks for all the content. Appreciate it, man. All right. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.